Coming up, we have stories about wearing wedding dresses to other people's weddings, siding with mom over your wife, disagreements over borrowing a car, giving away birthday gifts, unhelpful dinner guests, wedding invites gone wrong, and of course, spicy stories, a spicy mother-in-law story, and a cake story. Is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Refusing to Let My Brother's Fiancée Wear Her Late Mother's Wedding Dress at My Wedding? What in the mothballs did I just read? So I, 28 female, am getting married in 2 months, and I've planned every detail down to the last flower petal. It's my dream wedding, and I've been saving and planning for years. Here's where things get tricky. My younger brother, 26 male, is engaged to his fiancée, Emma, 24 female, and she recently lost her mom in a tragic accident. Emma and I have always gotten along fine, but we're not super close. Anyway, her mom had a very beautiful, expensive wedding dress that Emma inherited, and it means a lot to her. A few days ago, Emma came to me in tears asking if she could wear her late mom's wedding dress to my wedding as a guest. I was shocked because this felt off. Like, I totally understand that she wants to honor her mom, but I just feel like a wedding dress at someone else's wedding is not the time or place, especially since she knows that I have a very specific theme, color palette, and vibe for my day. I told her gently that I didn't think it was appropriate, and she started crying, saying it was the only way she felt her mom could be with her during a major family event. She said she'd never get to see her mom at her own wedding, and wearing the dress felt like a way to keep that connection. I felt for her, but I held firm that my wedding wasn't the right time for that. Well, now my brother is furious with me, saying I'm heartless and selfish, and a bunch of family members have started to take sides. Some say Emma's request is deeply sentimental, and that I'm being too rigid about wedding rules, while others agree that it's weird for a guest to wear a wedding dress at someone else's wedding. Emma hasn't spoken to me since, and my brother says they're considering not coming to the wedding at all unless I change my mind. My fiancé is supportive of me, but I'm starting to feel guilty because I know this is tied to grief, and I don't want to be the bad guy. Am I the astronaut for refusing to let her wear her late mother's wedding dress to my wedding? Nah, sticking with NTA. You know what? All the family members that are now starting to chime in with their votes don't mean squiggly shit, because it's not their wedding. Also, she wants to wear her mother's wedding dress to an important family event to honor her mother. Wear it to her own wedding. They're engaged, remember? She's planning on having one of those. How did this not come up? You want to wear your mother's wedding dress? Wear it to your wedding. Your wedding. Your wedding. This is bullshizzle. And your brother's like, we're just not going to come if you don't change your mind. Well, then have fun not being there, I guess. That's your choice. You aren't going to blackmail me into changing my wedding. I'm sorry. My wedding is not about your mother's memory. There's no connection there that makes sense at all. And for somebody to have the stones to ask this question of you, F them. All up and down the aisle. That is not cool. They know that's not cool. If somebody asked them this question of their wedding, how would they react? It would not be favorably. But you've got somebody here who is dealing with tremendous grief, and I'm sure that disables some otherwise functional logic centers, right? I'm sure that the grief would make an unreasonable request happen here where it wouldn't have otherwise. I'm sure of it. And your brother, her husband, I don't care what he says, because he's feeling the pain of you saying no because she comes home to him. So his opinion does not matter here either. I wouldn't listen to him at all. Shivro Breeder says that's not grief, that's narcissistic entitlement. It's certainly translated that way. The expectation to have somebody else's wedding be an opportunity for you to create a shrine or an homage to your mother it's not okay. It's not okay. The request is not okay. And now you're being guilted by family members and by your brother and her. I'd plant the flag right now and be like, okay, I'm going to nip this in the bud right now. If you plan on being vocally opposed here or being shitty on my wedding day because I'm not allowing this thing that was unreasonable to request happen, don't bother coming. And if I catch wind that you're starting shit or complaining while you're there, you're going to get booted. You will get kicked out. You know what? If you're bitching right now, you got about 30 seconds to put it to rest, or I'm going to cancel your invitation. I will rescind those invitations. You shan't be at my wedding. My wedding. Navy, what would you do if somebody tried to wear a wedding dress to your wedding? What would Navy do? You'd wear a wedding dress to Target, wouldn't you?
Did you wear a fancy dress to Target? Do you already
She wears fancy dresses to Casey's. Even if we're just going in to pick up some Diet Coke and a pizza. Ooh. What would you do if somebody tried to wear a fancy dress to your wedding? Would you be upset? Yeah. Okay. I'm at NTA here. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for telling my wife she's wrong and that my mom is right? I, 35 male, have been married to my wife, 32 female, for 5 years, and we've been struggling financially for the past few months. I lost my job about 3 months ago, and while I found part-time work, it doesn't pay nearly as much as before. We've had to cut back on a lot of things, but it feels like no matter what we do, we're still living paycheck to paycheck and even pulling from savings. Recently, my mom, 65 female, came over to visit, and she noticed how stressed I was about the money situation. She offered some advice on how we could save money, things like cutting down on takeout, meal prepping to avoid buying groceries multiple times a week, and switching to cheaper brands. My mom has always been frugal, especially when she was raising me and my siblings on a tight budget. I thought it made sense, especially since we're really trying to save wherever we can. I asked if she was willing to go through our spending and show where we could cut down. My wife agreed with this. Okay, whoa, I'm shocked right there. So right here, I thought he was going to say, I asked her if she would do this, and she started doing it, and my wife didn't know yet. That obviously would have been a red flag. Inviting mom into finances, he says wife agreed with this. I'm anxious to find out how. If this was a request made in front of his mother, that doesn't feel like a fair request to make of his wife, because then she's kind of stuck with saying yes. Let's find out. I feel like that's going to be an important piece of information moving forward, but I could be wrong. She made a whole spreadsheet about our spending, and we are spending way too much on fun stuff. We don't need Starbucks every day, and so on. It also became apparent that most of the fun spending was my wife's. To be honest, my wife didn't take the breakdown well and started arguing with my mom that her spreadsheet was wrong. She said that my mom's way of doing things is outdated and doesn't work for us. She doesn't want to give up buying organic produce, and she likes having a variety in what we can eat each week. I tried to explain that we need to make some sacrifices if we want to get out of this financial hole, but she kept insisting that things weren't as bad as I was making them out to be and that we just needed to ride it out. My mom left at this point. We were still arguing, and she told me that she can't give up her takeout. She also went on about my mom being wrong. That's when I lost my patience and said, "You're wrong. My mom is right. She managed to raise 3 kids on one income, and we can't even cut back on groceries for a few months." My wife got really upset, saying I'm being a huge jerk for siding with my mom and that my mom is outdated. Y'all, her firmware outdated like 3 years ago. She's been due for an update, but we haven't been able to find a USB that fit her year of model. You know what I mean? So got to get her plugged in sometime soon. She's barely spoken to me since, and now I'm wondering if I went too far. By the way I see it, we need to be realistic about her situation, and my mom's advice could actually help us get back on track. I am so sorry. This is indeed an ESH. And while his wife, OP's wife, is definitely the most wrong here, I believe, OP made a fatal error. He made a fatal error in presenting his argument and using his mom in that argument. You can make this argument and be like, hey, fine, we'll pull our own data. We'll hook up the bank account to Mint or to there's lots of budgeting apps, okay? So you'd be like, okay, well, let's find something that is an up-to-date version of what we're needing and then see what that says. And if it aligns with what she says, then at least we know. Getting a second opinion here is not a bad thing. Where you screwed up, OP, was connecting the wrong to your mom being right. Those are two separate things, right? Your wife can be wrong without your mom having to be right. Those two things can live independently, but using them both at the same time created more than just your wife being wrong. It became you are inferior to my mother. In her mind, that's what she's seeing or feeling. And it is completely unnecessary. Vianney says, I don't think the wife would have been honest with her spendings if mother-in-law didn't do it. Maybe, but I think using your mother-in-law there or using your mother OP there also creates a distraction, right? Because then there's an emotional argument to be made about, well, you didn't have to bring your mom into this. When you say things like your mom is right and I'm wrong, that really hurts me because it's your mom. Now, if this was looking at a budgeting app and it was saying the same thing, that emotional argument does not exist. You see what I mean? So that was an unnecessary element to this. Maybe the pain of mother-in-law starting the process was needed for them to take the next step. Maybe. But I mean, you have to, shit, we've all been there. When you're like, oh man, I need to give up my Starbucks. I need to give up my this. I need to give up my thing. That sucks. I really don't want to give it up. Everybody's been there where they don't want to give it up. And then if you've got your partner, not just your partner, but your partner and your mother-in-law pressuring you to give up the thing, all of a sudden it's 2-on-1. It's being ganged up on, and it's all her fault, right? So it's not a good look. The issue is that we've all been to the point where we're like, oh man, that sucks. I have to give this thing up. We need a little bit of time to like come to terms with the fact that like change doesn't happen in an instant. And for her to recognize, like, of course, she's going to fight to keep some of those things that she loves, but she needs time and also needs a reasonable next step, not a next step that's like everything you like is now gone. More of, okay, this next week, can we attempt to go to Starbucks 3 times instead of 4? Small changes, right? But it's not anything that happened. What I perceived to happen here was that a big spotlight was turned on and it was pivoted to OP's wife and then intensified, and she just cooked. Be reasonable, OP. But more than anything, when you communicate with your partner, you have to try to separate those two things out. You have to separate the actual problem and any kind of emotional problems that are attached to that problem. Maybe the emotional problem is the problem, but you understand what I'm saying. Don't fight more than one fire at a time. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for demanding my wife and her daughter pay to have my car professionally cleaned? Oh, they did something nasty in it. Oh, no. I, 45 male, am married to my wife of 2 years, 39 female, Kate. She has a 16-year-old daughter, Lucy, from a prior relationship. Lucy's father is not living, so he's not in the picture. Is that a weird way to say that? Is it a weird way to say that? Kate is disabled and collects disability. Lucy is a junior in high school and works after school and on weekends. I work full-time from home, making around $150K a year. The other day, Lucy was out with friends in her car. She bought a mid-90s Civic from money she's earned working. It's a total shit box. Kate usually drives a Sentra, but it's currently broken right now and she doesn't have the money to fix it. I have a 2019 370Z that I love, but currently the roof is acting up on it, not going up, and it's not currently working. Lucy had called her mom saying the Civic broke down on the side of the road and she needed help. With the Sentra not working, I told Kate to get an Uber for Lucy and I'd loan her the money and she can pay me back with her next disability check. Instead, Kate begged me to borrow my car, saying that she didn't feel safe with Lucy in an Uber as a teen girl. I stupidly relented. Kate took my car to pick up Lucy, and as bad luck would have it, it started to rain and my convertible top was stuck down. Naturally, it rained all in my car and got it soaked. When they got home and put my car back in the garage, I first asked if they were okay. Then I went to check on my car. There was so much water in there. I knew it would mold or mildew and smell if not properly cleaned. I then told Kate and Lucy they need to split the cost of having my car professionally cleaned and detailed by a service of my choosing. I reminded Kate and Lucy I offered to loan money for an Uber and they declined, saying that Lucy didn't feel safe, which I think is complete bullshit. Uber is perfectly safe and it was only a 30-minute drive from our house. Now they need to pay several $100s to have my car taken care of. Lucy and Kate both said I'm being unfair and they'll just clean and detail my car themselves, but I want to know it's done right and I'll only have that confidence if it's done professionally. Am I the astronaut? What do y'all think? Elise says, I would charge them too. or at least make her work it off. Here's the problem that I see. Here's the yeah. Obviously, maybe she just wanted to drive the car because it's a cool car, right? It's a cool car. Is it Pam? Adventures with Pam? Are you on chat? You have a 370Z, don't you? It's a cool car. Maybe she just wanted to drive the cool car. Regardless of what the vehicle is, regardless of why the request was made, I'm trying to position him as a father and as a husband, and not as an independent dude who has no connection to his wife and her daughter, which is how he presented this in the title, right? He's a father. As a father and as a husband, your family's going to do shit that you have to clean up and deal with. It's going to happen. The second problem I have here is that your immediate response to this was, I want them to pay a lot of money to have someone else do this really well or right. And I understand it needing to be done well. I get it, right? At the end of the day, it's just water and it's just a car. Having them do it, have them look up videos on how to do it, monitor it if you want, but have them do it. Cool. That's like one notch lower in severity. Helping them do it would be the right thing to do as a father and as a husband. But instead, you're putting monetary pressure on people who are already monetarily in a position where they can't take more pressure. And you're supposed to be someone who committed to both of them for the rest of your life. Money was the last thing that you should have punished them with. The last thing. So there's a very selfish approach in this too, right? I understand, you know, they accepted a risk whenever they decided to drive your car and that they should clean it up. In no way, shape, or form do I think punishing them with something they have no way to resolve is a fair or right or fatherly or husbandly thing to do. That was a big failure in my mind for you. Now, the other side of it is, yeah, they did accept the risk whenever they decided to drive it, and they do have to deal with that, but give them something that you're putting a plan in front of them that they can't win. You're creating an impossibility here. So it's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a catch-22. It is a Kobayashi Maru for them. You're like, all right, I'm going to punish you with this thing that you definitely can't get out of. So you're going to be in my debt forever. Congratulations. When you've already positioned yourself above them. So yeah, it was a douchey thing to do. I don't even know that it's an ESH. You know what I mean? I think this might be more on you than anyone. My only question is this, it's like between a 2 and a 1 for me. Yeah, and Yoko, going back to your point about this originally became a not feeling safe with like an Uber or a Lyft. Whether that was the real reason or not, doesn't matter. Like, first of all, as a father and as a husband, I would want that to be the last choice. I would want to be the first line of defense, not the last. So it just further enforces his being completely selfish here. And maybe that's it. They've only been married for 2 years, but he's still alone. He's still number one. And he's definitely positioned them at like, not even the number 2 spot, maybe 5. I think his car might be number 2. And that sucks. So yeah, you were the asking for demanding. I'm not going to give you 1. I'm going to give you 2. You probably are a 1. And situationally, I think you really are. However, I'm giving you a 2 because I'm hoping that this is something that you just don't realize what you're doing yet. I'm hoping that this is a scenario where you either haven't been in a relationship in so long, or you were in a series of ones that failed because it never clicked for you, that you were only thinking of yourself, that you were never truly a partner with anyone, and you just don't know how to do it yet. If that's the case, there's hope. There's a way to turn that around. There's a way to learn and grow from it. And there can be improvements. Maybe he doesn't realize what's happening. Maybe he doesn't realize that he's being the asshole. I mean, he's coming here asking us. So yeah, you were an asshole. And a lot needs to change about your worldview. And that's going to be painful. But all hope is not lost. If what you desire is a functional, healthy, happy relationship with your wife and your daughter, you've got to stop thinking about yourself, and you've got to start thinking about your family as a unit and as a team, and lead that team.
I feel like he makes several like very selfish statements throughout this entire thing.
Yeah.
Number one, his wife's car is broken and she can't fix it.
And it's a shit box.
Well, no, the daughter is a shit box.
Oh, yeah.
But he says, and can't take my wife's car because it's broken and she can't afford to fix it.
So,
also, your car is broken. Why haven't you fixed it? If you're criticizing your wife for not fixing her car and now the daughter's car is broken down, well, your car's broken too. So why haven't you gone and fixed it? Also, if you didn't want her to borrow your car, why didn't you go pick her up?
That should have been the first line of defense. Like him picking her up in his car, first line of defense. Second line of defense, you can use my car. Third line of defense, Uber, Lyft, whatever.
And the Uber, I'll loan my wife money so her daughter can get an Uber. Come on, bro.
Hey, this guy's not even, he's so much not playing the role of a husband. He's not even a sugar daddy. Like he's like not anything in there. I don't know how that works. So I wonder if he charges them rent. It's almost giving that extreme level. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another AITA story for you. This one is Am I the Astronaut for giving away my boyfriend's birthday gift when he said he couldn't come. There are a couple of ways to take this. I bought my boyfriend 2 tickets to see our favorite artist for his birthday. Oh, this information in the title would have been helpful, OP. His birthday was back in July and the gig is the end of November. The nature of his job means he has to travel a lot unexpectedly, and unfortunately, something came up and he'll be away over the gig dates. Meanwhile, in September, he was away for another thing in LA. He got the chance to go see this artist for free, so he went. Also fine. It was understood we wouldn't be able to make this gig together, and if the opportunity came up for him to see them, I'm glad he got the chance. So I asked my friend, who I know is also a big fan of the artist, said it was for my boyfriend's birthday, but he can't join, and if she wants to come with me instead. She was so happy and appreciative, like texting me in all caps, OMG, 100%, and that it was the best thing I'd heard since birth, LOL. I was super happy someone could come with me and enjoy it. The morning after this, my boyfriend is like, oh, by the way, I'll be back a week earlier from this thing so we can go to that gig. I'm like, shit. I'm so sorry, but because I thought you weren't coming, I offered the other one to my friend and she said yes. And he was like, oh, okay. We leave it for a bit, no biggie. Later that day, he brings it up again, like, well, why don't you just explain to her that I'm actually home now and it was originally my birthday gift? And I said, oh, I don't know if I can do that. She was so happy about it and I'd feel wrong offering someone something then taking it away again, especially because she was so happy. He got weird about it and said I had an issue with people pleasing. I was thinking about it and sent him a voice note saying, I totally get your POV. But I think it's unfair for me to have to change my plans multiple times because of your schedule, which again is not his fault, just how it is. And I disagreed with the fact that he called me a people pleaser, which kind of hurt my feelings. I think it would be a worse thing for me to do in terms of my character to offer a friend something then take it back. I said to him, you obviously went to see him in LA because you knew you weren't coming with me here. So you acted on the fact that plans changed and so have I. No one's fault, just how it played out. And he said even if we were still going in London, he obviously would have gone in LA anyway, which was upsetting, but he seemed to think that's not an issue. I don't know. He told me to imagine it the other way around, how I would feel. And he's mad that I'm prioritizing not hurting the girl's feelings over his. I'm not that close with her. We only met recently, but we get along really well. I think I would be more upset, but I think given the circumstances, I would be more understanding and at least not make him feel bad about it. What should I do? Before we dive into an edit here, let's talk about this for a moment. I see where the step in poo happened. The step in poo happened whenever she was thinking about using that ticket for someone else and didn't discuss it with him. Had they had that discussion and she was like, hey, since you can't go, I'm going to bring Lauren, my new friend. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah. Then he would have no argument right now when he got back because he'd already known about you taking Lauren or whatever her name is. And even if he did want to talk you out of it, he would have more understanding about it because he approved that. Mariah says, why is it a discussion when he left the talk saying he had already seen them? Yeah. I still think it should have been a discussion because it was a gift to him. Now, OP has a play here, and that play is like, well, since I got you this gift that you couldn't use, I ended up using this with a friend, but I got you something different. Replace the gift with something different, right? I don't know. If she knows his schedule is so mixed up, why get him that kind of gift? KS has a valid point there too. I think that, and so many people are like, the instant he couldn't use it, he rejected it. He had no choice but to not be able to use it because of his schedule. I understand that, but yes, he did. He did reject it. I still think in a partnership, if you've got a partner that you're trying to be completely transparent with and do things like as a unit together, as a team together, it would have been a discussion to be like, hey, since you can't go, I'm going to do this if you're cool with it, because technically it is, still your gift. And if we do that, then I can do something else as your gift. That would have been like no issue here at all. So I think it is a communication issue more than anything, but he did go without her. Would have sold and then got him something else, then I would want to experience that with him, Taylor says. So maybe it's two people thinking about these things independently here. The edit is this. Thanks to everyone who has responded. It's obviously very divisive and polarizing, but I do admit I made a mistake. I should have asked him first, as it is his gift. I also told him I'd be happy to give the girl both tickets and spend the evening with him doing something else so I can honor my offer to her, but show him that I care about his feelings too. But he thinks that's silly and we should just go. I'm going to explain to the girl and just apologize profusely. Hope she understands and take her for dinner or something. Well, sucks for the friend, but what are you going to do? Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dusty Thunder, and we got one of these. Ooh. Microphone. This spicy story is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Calling My Wife Out for Never Doing the Hard Chores? My wife, 40 female, and I, 39 male, have been married for 7 years and have 2 kids, 4 and 2. We both work full-time but have different schedules. I work a standard Monday through Friday 40-hour week. My wife's job requires her to work Saturdays, so she takes random days off during the week to compensate. Both of our kids are in daycare during the week. When my wife takes a day off during the week, she will get chores done like cleaning, shopping, laundry, etc., which is great that she can get that stuff done on her off days. But there are things that can also be done on the weekend. She will leave other, more labor-intensive chores for me to do on the weekend. We have a 1-acre yard, so there's always yard work to be done, and it's nearly impossible for me to do that kind of work on Saturdays when she's at work and I have the kids. I've talked to her numerous times about doing yard work on her days off when I'm at work and the kids are in daycare, but she refuses because it's too hard. Which, yeah, I know. I'm the only one who does it. It's even harder when you're chasing around 2 kids. This means that I have to spend pretty much my entire Sunday doing yard work every single week. We've argued because she gets a work and kid-free day to herself to get things done. Ooh, but picks the easiest chores and leaves the hard ones for me to do on my one remaining weekend day. I'm going to go ahead and red flag this right now. I work Monday through Friday, then have the kids by myself all day Saturday. I just want to spend some time on Sunday watching football and relaxing, but I can't because of the yard work. This past week, when my wife took Thursday off and got some chores done, when I got home with the kids that night, she made some comments that pissed me off. She kept saying we still need to mow the lawn this weekend. We need to trim some bushes and trees and bring the brush to the yard waste site. I think we should rake up all the fallen pine needles and pine cones to use as fire starters. I snapped at her and asked her which of these things she was going to do, since she kept saying we. She got defensive and said that she is going to be watching the kids so I can get that stuff done. I told her that I think she is using the word we incorrectly then, because it sounds like I'm going to be the one doing all of it. She then went off about all the things that she got done on her day off when I told her that I could do all those things on Saturday, even with the kids. But she refuses to do any of the hard stuff. And then asked her if she could tell me the last day she had the kids by herself when I wasn't home. She couldn't answer and called me a jerk. I told her if I can learn to fold a fitted sheet, then she can learn how to use a rake, a lawnmower, a weed whip, etc. I also told her that I'm going to start planning things for myself on weekends so that I have my own time, even if it means hiring a sitter. She thinks I'm overreacting and expecting too much of her because the yard work is hard. Thoughts? The obvious solution there is to hire somebody to do the yard, but that shit's expensive. He is willing to hire a babysitter, but babysitters are going to be cheaper than somebody to do the yard. I can almost guarantee that. You can really go either way here. But look, Candy Thunder would absolutely jump on the mower if I needed her to. But I want to do that. And here's, I guess, where the disconnect that I don't understand. Number one, like, you're a dad. The expectation that you're going to have a full day of alone time to do you things is unreasonable, in my opinion. She doesn't get a full day of alone time to do things that are her things. On her day, she does a shit ton of chores. And you saying she does things like cooking, cleaning, laundry, getting the shopping done, all of that shit is probably just as much work, if not more. If not more than mowing the lawn and trimming the bushes and weed eating and doing all the things. It's a lot of work that he's got this viewpoint on that it's not even, necessarily labor intensive to do the lawn. It can be, but if you don't think cleaning, laundry, and doing the freaking grocery shopping is at all labor intensive, let him do all those things. So, seriously, wife, do a switch. Be like, yeah, it's hard, but you know what? Like, I learned to love yard work because it's like meditative time. It's like me time. It's like one of the few times that I would actually get to like sit somewhere and not be in communication and not be answering emails and just be thinking. It's one of the few thinking times that I have. So I learned to love it. It's the one time to like crank the music and just put the headphones on. You learn to enjoy it. I guess that's my point. You have responsibilities. So what are you going to do? You're either going to hire somebody else to take care of them. You're going to do it yourself and learn to love it, or you're going to bitch about it for the rest of your life. Learn to love it. So my proposition here, wife, is that take up the challenge and prove him wrong and say, okay, for a little while, I'm going to learn to love the yard work and let him do all the other stuff. And then let's see how easy he actually thinks it is. Let's see how easy it is. Because I call B's and S's on that one. It's not easy. It is definitely not easy. Now, on the other side of this is whenever he pointed out that she didn't have the kids a day there without him there. Like, I don't know. It's keeping score. And I understand he needs some him time. Like, you have to fill up your own cup, and you have to kind of force plan that as a parent. It's best if you and your partner are both encouraging of that, and it's not one person demanding and using it like to start a war. That's typically not the greatest way to go, but you do need to fill up your own cup. You do need to have some you things. Denise says, I love to mow. Why can't they work together? Risa, yeah, this is a truth. You know what? Yeah, they could tag team it. And it kind of seems like that's that one, Risa, that one statement, why can't they work together, is like an umbrella statement for all of this. Right now, they're working like against each other. Or he's certainly working against her. He feels like, at least, whether she's intending that or not, they are working against each other right now and not as a team. If you're going to get a sitter, like, tag team this, turn it into something that you guys use as like actual quality time. Candy Thunder, if you and I had a day to like tackle the yard, just you and me, and we didn't have any other responsibilities to mess with during that time, that would be quality time for us. We would turn that into something fun for us. There are opportunities here. There are lots of solutions ahead. I don't know that you're headed toward one right now, OP. I don't know that the approach that you're taking right now is going to lead to a happy, positive solution. I think it's just going to lead to more trouble. So, she did say the yard work is too hard. And I'm sure she's, meaning physically or maybe it's hot. I don't know. But to understand the situation that's been put in front of her, There are solutions, and a solution for her would be to prove him wrong, because right now he's calling her out and saying everything she's doing isn't difficult. And for him, it's taking a different approach to say, hey, let's do this together, instead of like, I need me time. I'm taking a day for me. He's got a case of the memes. Not saying he's wrong in what he's feeling, but he's entirely focused on himself and not them as a family. Hey, Jeremy, thanks so much for all the shares there. Sergeant Mac, he's missing an opportunity to get some new yard tools. Hey-yo, there you go. There you go. So the question is, am I the astronaut for calling my wife out for never doing the hard chores, which just kind of reminds me of that whole part of it. Yeah, I think you are. Not that it's fair, not that it's balanced, but the way you're going about it is not going to be a productive way. So I'm going to say you should have done this differently. Not you definitely shouldn't have done it. It should have just been done in a different way. And doing that in a way where you guys can solve something together and not planting a flag and saying me, I think it's going to actually move you toward a solution. Ladies and gents, we have another one of these. Spicy story. This one is titled, Mother and Mother-in-Law Are Destroying My Life and Targeting My Kids. Hello, everyone. I'm new here and could use some advice. My mother-in-law, 80, is a real actress. In front of other people, including my own parents, she plays the sweet old lady. But behind closed doors, she is very dominant and wants to dictate everything. Example, she constantly tries to kiss the children on the mouth or eat from the same cutlery, which I don't want for hygiene reasons. She does it anyway. She drove us into debt, forced my then fiancé, now husband, to take over his parents' house because she wanted to move into her dream house, and acted as if it was in great condition. My old sick father-in-law didn't really want to move away, but she controlled him so much that he agreed and died shortly after the move. We later found out that she had deliberately hidden defects in the house from us, otherwise we wouldn't have taken over the house, and we are now in debt because the very expensive repairs, my retirement savings, and my inheritance are gone. Damn. She constantly exceeds all the limits that I set, and it is now also affecting the health of my 3 children. We already had the problem with our first and second child that she wanted to take the 2 children to the playground. In reality, she took them to a restaurant and fed them a second lunch. She persuaded the children not to tell me or my husband about it. It finally came to light when the children suddenly started gaining weight and our oldest child confided in us. I broke off contact at that time, but everyone begged me to give her another chance. She was in tears and vowed never to do that again. 2 years later, she repeated that behavior with our third child by constantly pushing sweets into her. I then got the pediatrician on board, whereupon, out of spite, she started baking multi-tiered cakes every week and served it to the children. I then broke off contact completely. I have asked my husband so many times to help me and the children, but he is like his father. His mother and his sister can do anything with him, and he doesn't dare say anything. My children are now back to normal weight, and my life has become so much calmer if it weren't for my mother and my husband. They admit that my mother-in-law's behavior was not okay, but now they claim that I, gasp, clutches pearls, would torture my mother-in-law through no contact, and that you can't do that to an old woman. My mother knows the whole story of what my mother-in-law did and still stands by her. It has now gotten to the point where my mother talks to mother-in-law on the phone behind my back. They visit each other, and my mother brings mother-in-law gifts. Of course, the mother-in-law is acting out in front of my mother again and acts totally weak and destroyed. My own mother now treats me as if I were her enemy, and she verbally attacks me even in front of my children. My husband is a coward and stays out of everything. My father agrees with me, but won't help me. He even goes with my mother to visit my mother-in-law. Mother-in-law talks bad things about me to other people, and everyone believes her since she is such a sweet lady who goes to church every Sunday. What should I do now? Also go no contact with my mother? Sorry for the rant and the long text, but this had to get out. OP must feel like she's taking crazy pills. She's got to feel like she just doesn't even know what is happening. But you know what? We're going to get some help with this feedback because we have the one, the only, the sweet like candy every damn day, Candy Thunder.
You're so sweet. This is like my worst nightmare, to know that somebody is like acting like this Like, I can see what they're doing. This is like the ultimate form of gaslighting, right? Like she's doing all this stuff that she knows OP hates, and then pretending like it's out of love and
don't hurt me.
Yeah,
I'm just a frail old woman.
Like this is literally my worst nightmare, to like see what's happening, and then everyone else not see it.
But there has to be this element to it that is like, because everyone else is seeing something different, not just some people, everyone, where she has to be questioning her own reality and being like, am I being a huge asshole here? Is she really, is this innocent?
Well, and she has no one in her corner. Like,
yeah.
Her husband is like, I'm out. Like, you can't do that, dude. Come on. Like, you have to step up and help with whatever's going on. Like, help your wife not go crazy, because if our moms were baking 3-tiered cakes for our kids every day, I would have a problem with that. I don't think that they would ever do that, but I would have a
if they were taking them for second lunch every day.
Yeah, I would have a problem with that. I don't think the things that she's asking them not to do are unreasonable, but it's like when this mother-in-law gets called out on stuff, she just completely like changes it. Yeah, she hits her life alert button, and she's like, "Hey." I'm like, I don't.
Wait. Every time she gets confronted, she's like, "Where am I?"
Yeah, she's
like immediately just starts putting on an act of like anything she possibly could have. She just embodies it right then. What's your name, dearie?
Yeah. Okay. Laura says husband knows exactly how manipulative his mom can be.
He's got to.
So that's why
he grew up with her.
He knows that there is no win in this situation, but instead of having his wife's back, he's just like, nah, hands off.
Well, the other side of that is that his mother she's 80, right? And her husband, his father, passed.
Being 80 does not mean that you cannot be an asshole, because I have seen it in real life.
No, but I know that there's the guilt that is attached to her age and her potential proximity to end of life, right? So he's like, oh, I especially can't do it now. I mean, she's 80 years old, and she plays the role of the fragile old lady so well. At least we think she plays the role. There is a version of this where OP is actually like seeing more than is there.
Sure, she could be, but if I were to ask my mom to not do something, and then my mom went and did the one thing that was actually causing me harm, I'd have a problem with
and
that.
Then told the kids not to tell you.
Yeah, and then talk shit on me to my kids, like that's a one-way, do not pass go, do not collect $200, get out of my life kind of thing. Like that's
you have to exchange your $200 for 200 use.
Yeah, my mom would never do this. I know that. My mom sees through bullshit very, very easily. She has an eye for it. Damn, I don't know if I was being gaslit this hard by an elderly woman. I mean, that sounds like I don't even know what I would do. I don't even know how you would. I mean, I would assume that this woman has been like this her entire life.
You would need...
She does what she wants, and when she gets in trouble, she's like, oh, but I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in a good way. Well, it doesn't matter how you meant it. How it came across was this, and we need to find some common ground so that this does not happen again.
The only way that you could pivot this at all is if you had your partner in your corner, though, because it has to be a confrontation, and it has to be, look, unless this shit changes now, you will never see our children again.
Right.
Sorry, we have no choice but to go no contact if these things don't change. Then grandma at least has a crystal clear picture of what's at risk. And if she chooses to continue, come what may.
I don't know. I've seen, like firsthand, I've seen a mom act like this in around the same age. And the person that I know that is their child is like, I'm just hands off because I can't be involved, because I know that every time I try to get involved, my words get twisted, everything gets construed, and people get angry at one another. And she's just at the center of this, causing all sorts of issues. So I know, like I've seen it firsthand, and I know that age has no factor here. Age has no factor.
Yeah. You train people to keep their distance whenever you start shit every time they come near you.
Yeah. And so at this point, this person is like, I can't take phone calls. I can't be involved. I can't help in this way because it puts too much strain on my life. And if OP is at that point, then she has a decision to make. Do I want to stay married to someone that isn't supporting me? Or do I need to talk to this man and say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is how I feel. I need your support. Like, this is the part in our marriage where I need you on my side. I need you to understand me, and I need your support in this matter. If I don't have that, it's going to cause resentment, and it's going to lead to a path that I don't want to walk down. So this is where I'm at. This is how I feel.
I think
how do you want to move forward?
You have to detail that path, though. There has to be an or this happens for him to take it seriously.
I wouldn't jump straight to ultimatum. I would jump to sharing exactly how I feel without sugarcoating.
I think it's a boundary, which has some kind of, if you take this action,
right?
It's not an ultimatum, because it's I guess it is. What's the difference between an ultimatum and a boundary? I guess that's the question. Because she's saying if this is the line you shall not cross again, and if you do, this will happen.
Right.
But what's the difference between that and an ultimatum?
I wouldn't give the if that then this. Like, I wouldn't give that at the first. At first, I would just want to have that conversation that's like, look, you can't just be hands off. You have to be involved. This is your mother. These are your kids. I am your wife. Like, we are in this together as a family. This is your family. This is your immediate family. Like, once you get married, immediate family becomes the family that you create. Extended family becomes the other, like, you leave your family and start a new one. And so he's done that. He's made that choice. Own up and be there for her, and at least open the conversation. Yeah. Because in what I'm seeing from this is that he's just like, meh, I don't know.
Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another AITA story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for not helping out when I was a guest at my in-laws? So I have this theory, maybe faulty, that when one hosts a dinner party, the host does everything and the guests relax. Whenever I have guests over, I don't want them helping me set the table or doing the dishes. I want them to have fun and drink and enjoy. I was recently at my in-laws. My mother-in-law cooked up a storm and ran frantically in and out of the kitchen with various dishes, etc. I ate, took my plate to the kitchen, rinsed it off, and then I saw my father-in-law sitting watching the game on TV, so I sat with him and chatted, sipping wine. When we got home, my husband was really upset that I did not help his mom bring out the dishes or clean up after the dinner. I was surprised and said, I'm the guest. When she is over at our house, I don't ask her. He said, but she always offers. You should have offered. I said, but I don't feel like doing housework when I'm a guest at someone's house. I really don't like cooking and usually order takeout when I have guests. My husband said, this is not some stranger. This is family. You don't see how tired my mom was? Everyone was helping and you just sat there and drank like a spoiled princess. Uh-oh. Completely unnecessary jab. That might get you into trouble here. He likes to bring that up because I'm an only child and maybe I am a little spoiled. When I brought up his father and how the father was not helping, he got even angrier. So I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong here, but I don't want to be handling dishes and stuff when I'm tipsy. Ages for those who are interested, me and my husband are 45. Both. Mother and father-in-law are about 70. Edit. People asking me if my husband helped. Yes, he did, but he just needed to carry plates from the table to the kitchen. Women were expected to help prep the food, and I am not great at cutting food or cooking. Update. Thanks for the comments. I'm a bit spoiled and a bit of a princess, and now I realize that. Can I offer to help but put up boundaries? Like, I don't like prepping food. I can carry stuff to and from the kitchen. Like, one time my mother-in-law asked me to cut vegetables, and it was very difficult, and I could hear that she was getting a little frustrated and said, it's okay, I'll do it myself. Hey, Kick the Rogue, for informing us here, likes goal met. Hell yeah, way to go, ladies and gents. Nice work, hitting the likes goal. You made it. Look, finger cramps will begin shortly. Women are expected, but also, Mrs. Toad, you're right, a learned helplessness, or maybe a preference. Right? Maybe just a preference. She doesn't like to do that kind of stuff. I think what we're really witnessing here is kind of a clash of cultures, right? Because OP to OP's husband, is that right? Husband, yes. OP's husband grew up this way, where it's the done thing, where you help, you offer to pitch in and you jump in, and typically the ladies would all jump in and help get things prepped and moved over. It is very similar with our families, because I'm sure you know where we're from and where our families are from and how they were brought up, and that continues. But it has changed where you know the guys jump in just as much. It's not a female male thing, but like I also wouldn't expect someone who is brand new to that situation to just do what they do. I feel like there's a little bit of an unreasonable expectation on both sides, right? I mean, yeah, you probably should want to offer to help and to be a part of that family, but also that's not something you're familiar with or used to doing your whole life. So it's all new and foreign, and your partner should be a little bit understanding about that too. Now, when he brought it up, I feel like when he brought it up, if I were you, I'd be like, oh crap, I didn't realize that's what was happening here. Fill me in. What do I need to know? But he didn't really do that in a great way. He didn't help himself with his explanations and him getting angrier and angrier and angrier. That did not, the explanation, the pitch didn't work out so well. Pitch was not so good, maybe. How long have they been together? Let me find out. I don't know that she didn't mention. They're both 45.
This is the one where I was talking to you about earlier about how I saw the ages and it changed my view of the story.
Because you thought it'd be somebody really young. Yeah.
Like if somebody's just married and they're 22, 23 years old, maybe that's a little bit different and they've never been through that. The fact that she calls herself a spoiled princess and she's 45 years old is a little bit like, I would think, and especially this can't be the first time they've ever been to dinner over there. So maybe it's like a snowballing effect with the husband where he's like, okay, you never offer to help. Like, you could at least offer even if you're not going to do it.
Yeah. But then there's also like, if you look at this as a community, as the house full of people, you know, who typically would have the role of inducting a new person into how we do things, right? I almost envision that being like a matriarchal kind of duty, or a patriarchal. Like it could be one of the elders who is like, here, sweetie, let me show you how we do things. And show them how they do things. There could be that kind of thing. Instead, it was just kind of an assumption on his part where he's like, you don't do this thing you're supposed to do, and it sucks. Candy Thunder's got a hot take?
No, not a hot take.
Hey, the heat lamps are still on. Bring the heat.
No, I don't.
Bring the heat, Candy Thunder.
I don't have any heat.
Bring the spice.
I do want to say, so whenever we go to like Dusty's family functions, your mom prefers to do it all. Like when you get there, the buffet is set, the plates are ready. Like she does it all. I don't know how she does it because everything is always delicious. And she's like, no, don't. I got it. I'll take care of it. I'll get this. I'll get that. But she buys like the nicer plates that you can throw away or you can reuse if you want to. Mm-hmm. And she does things that help her with the cleanup stuff. But it was very hard for me whenever I walked in and like I didn't need to like clean my stuff and like put this away or like clean up the kitchen after it was done. Because at my family thing, it's like when you get there, you're still prepping, you're still cooking. Yeah. Everyone helps. And then whenever dinner is done, everyone helps clean up and put away. And like we kind of alternate, like if my sister will do it or her husband will do it or we'll do it. But like that's how I was raised, to pitch in. But you were also raised to pitch in. But at your mom's house, like it's your mom prefers to do it. Yeah. But your dad is such a huge help to your mom. Like they tag team it together.
They're a team. They're for sure a team. But yeah, I was raised in a way where it was you stay the F out of my kitchen, not jump in and help. Right.
And I will say that I run around frantic when we have people over and we're hosting. But at the same time, I'm running around frantically, but I don't need someone to jump in because it's easier if I know what I'm doing. I know where my things are at. So it's like I can bam, 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 knock stuff out. But like they'll always jump in on the cleaning part. And so I would never not offer to help. I would always offer to help because I just feel like that's how I was raised. That's what I was taught. Like you pitch in and help because it's not somebody else's responsibility. If they decline, then that's their choice. But you do offer to help, and I feel like she. So what if they? Offered.
Okay, so if they decline, so what if she? She's declining. Does that make her an asshole?
Who's declining?
She is. She's. Oh, you're saying you should offer, and then if they decline, but she. Yeah. So you're saying she is the asshole here?
I think that he sucks more than her because how he went about this was not. I would love to know how long they have been together, but I do think that he sucks more. Calling her an entitled princess is.
Yeah, that wasn't smart.
I mean, you don't have to resort to name calling. All you had to say was walk up to your wife and be like, "Hey, can you do this?"
Meanwhile, he carried some plates and that was it, right? So, and then when she mentioned his dad, he was like, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, just to say, if you have 4 people cleaning a kitchen, you're going to get it done in a lot quicker way than if you have 2 people cleaning. So why did those 2 people? Yeah, there is a little bit of like underhanded, in my opinion, misogyny in his entitled princess comment. But I don't think
it's so underhanded. I mean, it was the women are expected to do this.
Mm-hmm. And I don't like that. And we don't play that game at family functions. We just don't. Like, your mom and dad are together 50-50 doing their shit, and they knock it out of the park every single time. But
I found some comments.
Your dad would never shy away from helping.
Tony Spark found some comments. Let's hear them.
Well, for a second, okay. So first off, to answer the question, they've been together for around 20 years. They just had their 20th.
They've been together for
This is not new information then.
So here's one comment. She says, I would have done the dishes, but the last time I was there, I didn't do them correctly, and my mother-in-law told me to just rinse them and leave them in the sink. I don't know. I load and unload the dishwasher in my own house all the time, but she didn't like the way I did it the last few times I was over there.
Especially female guests.
Then she says...
So she's turning it backward.
Yeah, then she says, I'm just fed up at this point. It's been 20 years. They should get used to me by now. But they're not. We have these fights every time we visit in-laws, and I use every excuse to not visit them. Then my mother-in-law calls me and says she misses me and that it's not right. My husband is there by himself all the time.
It's a Kobayashi Maru. There's an unwilling expectation on both sides here.
Yeah.
If you could all just be grown-ass people and have a discussion face-to-face and be like, okay, here's how I am willing to help, but I'm not comfortable with XYZ. Cool. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.